Welcome into another ESPN Chattanooga's conversation here on ESPN Chattanooga 95.3. Today, we are joined by the Howard head softball coach. He also teaches world history, AP American history, and U.S. history to 10th and 11th graders over at Howard High School. It is Heather Kilgore with us right here on ESPN Chattanooga. Heather, welcome in. So happy to have you, and thanks so much for being here.
Oh, good to be here, Greg. Really good to be here.
All right. So first and foremost, I kind of want to get into your softball coaching and things like that. So how far did softball take you with your playing days? Take us back to your playing days and how you got into softball as maybe a younger person.
Well, I'm from Alabama, a very small town in Alabama, and we're pretty much born. When we're born, we get a softball and a glove. That's what we do in our little small town. And of course, my dad, I think he wanted a boy. So I was expected to be, in all the athletics. And I started playing, and it's actually a funny story, but my uncle coached a t-ball team. And all of I had all boy cousins, and the majority of them were boys. And they all played on this t-ball team. And I was 3 years old. So I was not yet old enough, and I just kicked and screamed and cried. And they said, my dad said, just let her play. Just let her put a uniform on. And so they put me in T-ball. They put me in the catcher's gear behind the plate. Of course, in T-ball, so I said I put catcher's gear on at 3, and I didn't take it off for a long time. But
so you were hooked right from there, right from T-ball catching. So you were a catcher when you played.
Yes. And
Okay.
like I said, I just loved the game, and I loved the strategy. And I loved that all you needed were those core fundamentals, and you could really excel. And the one thing I tell the kids, the girls that come out, is that I always tell them smart girls play better ball, because I want to push not only athletics, but that we are exceeding on the field and the classroom. So my first season here at Howard was I came here in 2019 to Howard, and we swiftly were sent home for COVID. And they had, I think, played one game, and they had a coach. And I had talked to David Moore, who was our athletic director at the time, and asked if there was a softball coach. And he said, well, there is, but we need some staff to take that position next year. And I said, I would love to have the opportunity. And at the time, we didn't even have a softball field here at Howard.
Wow. Where did you play? Where did you play?
We played in the grass out here. It looked like what I would call a cow pasture. But it's behind the school, and it was a little patch of grass with what used to be years and years ago the softball field. But it had grown up. There was no sign of one. And so we practiced there, and we would use what we called the old gym, not the new one, the new edition, but the old gym. We would use that. We have the baseball team had batting nets set up. So we would use that, and we would use the grass. So our first season, our feet didn't touch dirt until we played our first game, and we had to rent space at Warner Park just to play.
Yeah.
But at that time, I had no seniors, and I'm sorry, I like to talk about Howard.
No, as you should. That's what we want to hear about. Tell me about Howard. Tell me everything about Howard.
But when I started, I had no seniors. And all I had were probably the best group of juniors that you could imagine. And I can't take any credit for how great they were because my assistant coach is Coach Larry Hunt, and he does travel ball coaching here in our community with Chaos Nation and Chattanooga Chaos. And his daughter was a pitcher and was here at Howard, and he helped me to build our very first team. And even though we didn't have a field, we worked, and we put pressure on a lot of teams that didn't think our first season was going to be much. And we didn't have a winning season, but we came out and showed them that we were going to be competitive. And that's what we did. And then they became seniors, and I was really excited about our opportunity that we were going to have with this amazing group of young women. And then they moved us up to one of the most difficult districts in Tennessee. We were in a district with Walker Valley, Signal Mountain, just tons of great talent and established, well-funded programs. And here I was without a field. So I started, he wasn't superintendent at the time, but I started emailing Dr. Robertson in Hamilton County and trying to see what we could do to get us a field. And they had told me, Dean Moore told me that people had tried in the past and it just probably wasn't going to work out. And I said, you know what? I'm going to keep emailing. And I sent email after email after email, but just begging. And finally, that summer after our first season, Justin Witt, who is one of the project managers for Hamilton County, called me and he said, can you meet me at Howard? And it was during the summer on a Friday. And I said, sure, I'll be there. And he rolled out plans for our brand new softball field. And it is amazing. I cannot wait for people. We played on it, was our first year last year, our first season, full season on it. And I'm just really, we played some on it the year before, but this was our first full season on the field. And we couldn't be more proud.
Wow, that's great. Love to hear that. And hopefully you guys will be able to get back out there and have a winning season here in the near future. Before we get to last season and things like that on the new field, I did want to just ask quickly about when did you know that like coaching might be something that you want to do based off of your playing career, and you were big into catching, as you mentioned, but when did you know that like, hey, like when I became a teacher, maybe I'd like to get into coaching as well?
Well, I'm not just a fan of softball. I'm a fan of all sports because I am the assistant wrestling coach here at Howard. And
No kidding.
no kidding. And I
Wow, I
help
didn't
with,
know that.
yes, because we have a girls wrestling team as well. A few are wrestling. And so I'm a fan of all sports. I played basketball, though it wasn't my best sport. I loved it. I just love any kind of competitive anything, you know. But I think that what I know about kids is that it provides a way to build character. And I've always tell them, you know, you can learn how to win with humility and you can learn how to lose with grace and still hold your head up. And those are things that you can only learn by being in those experiences and being in those moments. And so sports in general, they're just important to schools because it builds. If you have coachable children, then you'll have employable adults. And they'll know how to work with a team. And I tell my girls all the time, you don't have to like each other. You don't have to kiki outside of school or hang out outside of school.
Yeah.
But you are working together for a common goal, and that is to win games. And you learn how to develop relationships with people that you may or may not like personally. And you can build relationships anyway and learn how to deal with conflict and learn how to deal with sadness and frustration and how to do it in a way that makes you a better person.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And like I said, here at Howard, we're not just about the athletics part. And I don't know if you know this or not, but Howard, the data was released from Hamilton County, and we are a level 5 school in academic growth. And we've never done that. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
That's
and
huge.
Yeah. And my first season here at Howard as coach, I was really hard on them about grades. And funny story, one of my girls, her lowest grade, she was just genius. And I'll say her name, Janiyah Rivers.
Shout out.
But yes, but she was genius, like in the classroom. And her lowest score, I think her lowest grade was 99. That was her lowest grade. And she had all honors. And I bring them in, and if you've got a B, my expectation's an A. And so I was trying to figure out how I could push her when your lowest grade's a 99. And I pulled her aside in front of all the girls and I said, look, if you got a 99, there's no reason why you can't have 100. So my expectation is that you get that 1 point, no matter what you have to do, get that 1 point. And she did. And so that first season, and it's carried on, but quarter one of my first season, I had 16 out of 22 girls with straight A's.
Wow.
So to me, that's my biggest accomplishment. And that is pushing them toward greatness, not just greatness. Oh, I'm a great ball player, but greatness. I'm great. I'm going to be great in everything I do.
Yeah.
Everything I do, in my relationships, in the classroom, in my character, on the ball field. And that's what
fantastic.
We're pushing.
Wow, that's great. I love that message. Love the energy that you have, the vibes that you're giving off in terms of that is really the most important thing when it comes to student athletes. And my parents always used to tell me that is, hey, it's student athlete. You are a student first. Everything you need to take care of is in the classroom first, and then you're allowed to kind of, okay, let me take care of things on the field. But it is more than just teaching the game or studies. It's more about teaching life and making these girls better people and your students better people as well, not just better students, but as you mentioned, better people. Again, Heather Kilgore, again, our guest here on ESPN Chattanooga from Howard High School. All right, so how did you end up at Howard? Where were you before? Had you coached previously? Where were you teaching before? Like, how did you get here? You live in Alabama, as you mentioned, or grew up in Alabama.
Yes, and I coached rec ball, a little bit of rec ball. I had never coached at the high school level, and so that was brand new. But the beauty of it was that, I'm sorry.
Light just went out.
Yeah, the beauty of it was that, that when I started here, there were a lot of the girls that wanted to learn the sport that had never in their life played. So the skills that I built teaching young girls how to play the game, I could carry over into here at Howard. Whereas if I had went maybe to another school with a more with a program that was already established, then those skills may not have been needed. But those basic fundamental level skills that I learned how to teach, those are the ones that I carried here. And I kid all the time that literally I had girls come onto the field with the glove on the wrong hand. Like that's what we had. But I say this, and one of the girls that came out with the glove on the wrong hand ended up being my starting third baseman. So when I say these are amazing kids, I mean, I cannot even say it enough. Howard kids are the best kids in my book, because they know that I try to tell them, you're capable. You can do this. Nothing can stand in your way. And once they get that in their mind, they take off. And they don't even need any pushing. They're on it. And so there's no better kids than Howard kids in my book.
Wow, that's amazing. Again, Heather Kilgore hanging with us here on ESPN Chattanooga. All right, so let's talk about the year that was last year. You were telling me a little bit about it off the air, but let's share it on the air now in terms of you guys won one game last year. Kind of looking to build and looking to grow and develop a lot of these girls. And you guys had an issue where you were supposed to have a pitcher, but then it didn't end up happening. And then you had to take your shortstop, who was a senior, and try to make her into a pitcher. Explain what happened with everything last year.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you this whole story will go to show you the character of these kids here at Howard. They're selfless. And so, and I'm going to shout her out. Her name is Tamisha Evans. We call her Easy E. And Easy E. And she will be coming back actually as a volunteer coach this year to help me. And she's actually attending Chattanooga State now. So, but yes, shout out to her. She was my team captain and my senior leader and my star shortstop. And when we realized that we were not going to have a pitcher, I took her aside and I said, look, it's your senior year and you're the team captain. And I don't have anybody that will be willing, that has the mental toughness to take what it's going to take to be this pitcher, because you're going to be brand new. You're going to be pitching 2 months in your first game. That's unheard of. I mean, schools have pitchers that have been pitching since like Little League. little
Yeah.
ball, rec ball. So, and I said, you're going to have games where you're going to walk 10 or 11, and I don't care. I just want us to have a season and play as hard as we can possibly play and compete. And she said, I'll do whatever it takes. And so she spent hours and days with me personally, and I'm not a pitching coach, I'm a catcher.
Yeah.
So we worked and worked, and we had help. I have another volunteer coach, Shantae Barnes, who coaches a rec league, and she uh, took her with her some and worked with their pitcher on learning fundamentals. She watched videos at home. We did all we could do to be ready. And, you know, to me, that shows the character of someone willing to, because she got a lot of flack from students here because we were losing and sometimes by big margins, you know. And because, I mean, when you play the Walker Valleys and those great teams, I mean, they're great teams. And
Yeah.
you have a brand new pitcher, it's not ever going to be a pretty game. But she showed the character it took to become to make our season what it was. And so I just want to share out that she is her character, and what the program helped her build in herself was the confidence that there's nothing that she's going to face in life that she can't get through, because there was no inning. I didn't even have a replacement pitcher. So she had to pitch every inning.
Wow.
And so no matter bad or good, if she's walking everybody, she was playing, and she gutted it out. And let me tell you, she knows now that there is nothing she can't gut out, and there's nothing she can't do. And no matter how bad it gets, you can claw your way out. And you've got a team full of girls behind you encouraging and pushing you. And that's the sisterhood we need. Young women need other women to help them and to encourage them when they're down. And that's what we want to do as a team, is be a sisterhood where you can depend on each other.
No doubt about it. Props to Easy. Sounds like an incredible person. Had to go through that. That is not, as somebody who grew up and played baseball in college and teaches baseball now and coaches, I know that is not an easy thing to do. I know baseball, you can't physically go out there and do it because the natural motion isn't overhand, but underhand, you can go out there and you can throw a lot of pitches, but still to stand in that circle. And if you're walking a lot of batters or the opposing team's hitting you and there's no end in sight, I mean, you got to push through it. And unfortunately, that's a tough lesson to go through, but it is a good one for life, where no matter what you're going through, you have to continue to push forward. So
Absolutely. And
that's great.
Shout out my freshman catcher, who will absolutely go D1. I'm predicting it now. You're hearing it now. Her name is Unique Hamilton, and she had to go through that with her, because a catcher will need to go through, they have to go through the same type of sometimes mental anguish through the innings with her, because she's trying to encourage and she's trying to frame the ball and trying to help her all she can. And that's a hard job too. And I tell Unique, I said, you know, the catcher is like a conductor. They have their back to the audience, but they have to conduct the infield. You have the best view in the house. So when you see that corrections need to be made, or we need to move third base over, or you know that batter's coming and they've hit it 3 times to first base and you need to pull first base a little over, that's how you conduct. And she did a fabulous job as a freshman doing that for us last year, and now she's in 10th grade and she's ready to show out. So I do want to shout her out, because she was there right with Easy, and they worked together to make it work.
That's awesome. Again, Heather Kilgore, our guest. And Coach, we're going to get more into your team coming up, next year when we get closer towards the softball season. We're going to do this again. I'm going to come out there. I got to check out that field. But I did see something on the Howard website that I wanted to ask you about that kind of really stood out to me in like your bio. It said, and I quote, "Nobody is prouder to be a hustling Tiger than I am." Why is nobody prouder to be a hustling Tiger than you are?
Because it's all because of the kids. It's because they don't quit. And that's who I am as a person. So the minute I walked on campus and started meeting these kids, they're my people. They're my tribe. I met my tribe because they don't quit. And whatever stands in their way, whatever obstacles, and trust me, we have a ton here and in our community. And I live in the community. I live in East Lake. I live 5 seconds from most of the kids. And I live right in East Lake, 26th Street. And so I'm in their community, and we have tons of obstacles and barriers that we have to work through. But these kids are so gutsy. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They're going to come out swinging, and they're going to work, and it doesn't matter how many times you tell them, well, you're not winning or you're not doing that. We're going to keep coming. We're going to keep competing until we're at that level. And we don't begrudgingly say, well, Walker Valley is a great team. We don't regret. We're proud for them. We want the same successes they have. And we look at them and we say, hey, we want to be to that level. And that's what we're working toward. And we have a great relationship with Cleveland High School, and the coaches there, and the girls, our girls and Cleveland's girls, they have a close bond. And it got that way from just being opponents and playing. But sorry, hold on just a second.
Okay.
But we formed a bond, and when this past season, when we got put out in the district tournament, they were still playing and playing for region, and their coach called us and said, will you bring your girls, because we love it having your girls cheer for us, and it just pumps our girls up. And the coach said, I want your girls' spirit and that no quit attitude to be there for our girls. And we went and we supported, and their coaches are great. And we just formed, and those are the kind of friendships that you never lose. Those are lifetime friendships. Yeah. When we can build that. And now, that they'll go forward and have those bonds with those other teams, and it'll be networking for them, and they can, have lifetime friendships. So we're really proud of, I'm so proud of these kids, because they're just they're good sportsmen. They're just good all around. They're smart, good character. And I just want to build on that. That's what I'm awesome. Trying to do.
That's fantastic. Heather Kilgore, again, has been our guest here on ESPN Chattanooga. Coach, amazing to get a chance to talk to you, get to know you a little bit, and I can just feel your passion through the screen here. It's amazing. I can't wait to meet you in person and get down there, meet some of the girls, check out the new field, things like that. I'm actually I'm really excited about getting a chance to do that. Again, she coaches the softball team over at Howard. She's also a teacher there of 10th and 11th graders as well. Coach, thank you so much for the time, and I look forward to getting a chance to talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, and I guarantee when you meet my girls, you're going to be a Howard softball fan.
No doubt about it. I'm already a Howard softball fan. I'll be even more of a Howard softball fan.
We'll get you a shirt.
Okay. Hey, that works. I'm happy. I love the free swag. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you so much for having me.